Okay, Brian, today we are doing a video for Lindsey. She has written into you a couple times. And before we have Wes come out to answer her questions, she has a few questions that she wanted to ask you.
Cool.
So let's do it. I'm just going to read it directly from her email. She says, I remember in your videos you implied that it was difficult at first and you would clear your throat and it just sort of seemed like Wes's presence made you a little uncomfortable. Does your consciousness exit your body when you channel him? If so, what does that feel like?
That's a great question, and I actually get it a lot. So, it's a very awkward feeling in the beginning. Yes, it did make me uncomfortable at first. I realized that it's very hard to explain, but I, as a child, created what I call a mind space, which I'm working on a book right now to share with everybody. That's where I go. Most people just step to the side that I've talked to that do channel. Most people just simply step to the side, the left usually. You'll hear people say, I feel like I'm left to myself. I'm not sure what their experience is like. For me, I go into what is my mind space, which is in non-physical, and really I have quite a bit I can do there while Wes is channeling now. In the beginning, it was very uncomfortable for me. It felt like I was being pushed out of my body. And if you've ever experienced that feeling, you kind of know that it's kind of throws you off guard. Once I became used to it, it became much easier for me just to step into my mind space and allow Wes to do his thing. If I pay attention to what Wes is saying, I tend to interrupt him, and I intend to talk to him while he's speaking with people. And so I've learned to kind of busy myself in my mind space.
I thought you might want to clarify a little bit where she says Wes's presence made you a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, like I said, the first time it ever happened to me, I was actually on our way home from grocery shopping, and I was driving, and I turned to Lawson and I said, I feel really funny, like I don't feel right, I just want to get home. I didn't really know what was going on. When I got home, I sat down, and that's when I began to feel myself step sideways and kind of step back. It was a very scary feeling because I was really not that knowledgeable in the spiritual world. It wasn't something I had pursued throughout my life. It just changed for me overnight, basically. That feeling of stepping back is a feeling of allowing basically your non-physical guide or any entity to completely take over your body. That can be a little intimidating at times.
It wasn't actually Wes's presence, though, that you were uncomfortable with, because you were already comfortable with Wes. It was just the process of allowing him to use your body that made you uncomfortable.
And I was unaware that I had that desire. It was explained to me later by Wes that I had desired to channel for my whole life. I found that really strange because I have no recollection and no feeling that I ever desired to do it. In fact, I used to be the kind of person that would think, oh yeah, okay.
So you had said, her next question was, how did you first learn that you could do this? And I guess that is part of what you were discussing when we were in the car and on our way home.
It wasn't something that I tried to do, I guess, is what it comes down to. It's something that simply, as my spiritual journey grew and my connection with Wes got stronger, just seemed the next natural step in the process. Wes is a very, very strong energy, and I'm very blessed to have him on my side. But it can be sometimes you feel like, wait a second, I didn't make this choice. And in reality, I did make the choice.
Which is a perfect lead-in, actually, to her next question, which was it something that you wanted to do, or is it something that you had to come to terms with after it began happening?
I definitely had to come to terms with it. It took me a little while to really get comfortable with it. It wasn't that I was uncomfortable with it, per se. I just simply, it is a weird feeling to step aside and allow someone else to take total control of your life.
But as you had already said, you have since learned that your higher self,
yes,
the core of you, had in fact wanted to do it.
Yes.
And you simply had to come to terms with that knowledge and that understanding.
Yeah, yeah. We make a lot of contracts before we come here, which is a whole other subject. But we're so not aware of those contracts when we're here. We tend to forget about them because the physical is such a dense place to be. So when they come up, you're kind of a little bit surprised, and it doesn't feel like it's really something you'd agree to.
I know this is something that we're both going to be writing a lot about, but her next question is, how can I raise my vibration enough to see and hear spirits? Any recommendations?
Oh, this is awesome. Great questions. First of all, I tell everybody the same thing. Start with meditation. It's really, really important. There comes a point in your journey where, you know, everybody starts into meditation with this expectation of this aha moment, this woo. It happens in small pieces, so that aha moment really kind of comes in a different way than you would expect. It's not a whoa, it's a suddenly you're thinking about, look at how much I've progressed, and suddenly you realize that you're hearing your guide, or you've met your guide. It starts with meditation, to be able to really sit down and clear your mind, and it is a very difficult thing, and I understand that. I cannot tell you how many people begin it and give up because they feel like they're not making any progress. Well, you know, questions keep coming into my head as I'm trying to quiet my mind. That's totally normal, and the best recommendation I ever received, and I pass it on to anybody that I meet, is to allow those questions to just continue, because eventually it stops. Eventually you've ran through every question in your head, and that silence comes. It's in that moment of silence that you really make that connection. Every single person out there that is hearing my voice is capable of not only speaking to spirit, seeing spirit, but channeling your guide. It's not something that's just, you know, reserved for special people. It's important that you realize that, and you have every opportunity. It takes a little bit of discipline. It takes opening your mind and allowing. I think that's the thing that I run across the most from people, is they're not willing to allow. They think that they're there. They've said, no, it's okay, I want this, but their higher self, their true self, you have some resistance built up. That again is another huge subject, which I will be working on, not only a book but videos for that as well. Losing that resistance is key to connecting with non-physical.
Her next one is a very big question and kind of long, but and I say that because it includes religious beliefs, and I know that neither of us have any issue with any religion that is out there. We think that if it is serving you well, that's beautiful. But what she says is, I have trouble meditating. I am better at praying or just giving thanks for all of the people that I love. I have learned that instead of shooting my prayers up to the sky or the big man in heaven, as I used to try to do, that I can turn the prayers inward and allow them to circulate through my auric field and through me, which makes sense since I have God's source within instead of how I viewed him as a child. Anyway, I was wondering if you have any recommendation on meditating with the intent of eventually establishing a connection with spirit that I am aware of and able to comprehend, which I believe you actually have answered a lot of that question in our meditation discussion.
Please know that, again, to everybody, that this is not something that I would tell people, oh, you have to change your religious beliefs. That's not it. This is an extension of your beliefs and your values. Your belief system is a very complicated system. When you begin to go within yourself and really find out who you are, who your higher self is, what your desires are, you have to go through your belief system in order to do that. And it's amazing how quickly we can establish a belief, but how difficult it is to change or remove that belief. I have absolutely no quandaries with any religion out there if it serves you well. If it is not serving you well, that's where it's kind of my thing I got to work on. If it's something that's causing you guilt or a negative feeling in any way, shape, or form, I just don't see it as beneficial to this physical life. I am not bashing your religion by any means, and I would never want it taken that way. I speak in terms of God and Jesus. I speak in terms of Source, Buddha, any religion out there, because this, again, is an extension of your spirituality.
Now, I think you would agree that it is a pretty natural process as one meditates and connects with Source, that as in everything in life, there is an evolution of their own belief system.
Oh, yes.
Many aha moments, many times that they will notice that they have changed a belief.
Yes. And I find also that it tends to be that there are many people out there that are afraid of losing their religious convictions or losing their religious beliefs. And by connecting with spirit and going through the process of meditation, I truly believe that it strengthens your beliefs and your convictions in that area. You will find that, yes, it changes your view at times of the particular religion that you're following. That doesn't mean that you have to eliminate all of those beliefs. They've served all of us well, throughout our lives. I think without them we would be a pretty chaotic society. So again, I view this as simply an extension of my beliefs.
Okay, well, I think those were all of the questions that she had for you. As everyone knows that watches your videos, this is the first time you're actually appearing on camera as Bryan. And so she has some additional questions for Wes.
Excellent.
And so we're going to take a little break here, and Bryan will break out Wes.
I thank you all. Excellent questions, and I hope they benefit you.
Love to